As the drivers lined up for the start, a notable absence was the top seed reigning champion Glenn Lees. The Metro 6R4 he was due to drive, not quite ready in time to make its debut. So in the absence of Lees, it was Russell Millward who led the championship away, closely followed by Rob Watson and Brian Carron in the self-built Nova kit car. Watson, having won 2 of the longest rounds of last year's series, was out to secure a hat-trick. But determined to stop them, Millward and co-driver Andrea Pilley in the turbocharged Sierra Cosworth was out to secure another win, having gained victory on the previous event on these runways just before Christmas. Following them came Sean Fox and Vorry Howland, lucky to be out at all after teething problems on their re-engineered Nova had led to a hectic build-up.
We went to convert 1600, everything was going okay, changed the fuel tank, general engine and everything. We decided to fit MBE management system, and we spent the last week trying to get it going. Spent a fortune on the phone trying to get some information. In the end, we gave up yesterday at 5 o'clock.
With cars starting every 30 seconds and taking in 2 laps, the action was sure to be fast and furious, but it turned out to be slightly more furious than fast for several of the top 10. The first hint of problems came at the hangars when the ex-Works Toyota Celica of Pat Bettridge and Norman Quayle arrived misfiring. Within a minute, it was all over for Bettridge.
Pat, what happened? Well, fairly short-lived rally, I'm afraid, Ewan. Looks like the turbo was blowing out by the sound. Clouds of smoke and the engine's rattling a little bit, so pretty certain that the turbo's gone. Just rebuilt as well, I'm afraid, so it was a fairly expensive rally, to say the least.
Irish post-historic champion Lee Freestone fared little better after completing more than half of the test on a brake disc in his immaculate Mark I Escort. The resulting suspension damage forced him to limp into retirement, but not before Dave Corris completed the sorry tale, sidelined by driveshaft problems on his Escort Cosworth. By the end of stage 3, a new name was emerging to give the current favourites cause for concern. Brian Ballard in the hired Sierra Cosworth was storming up the leaderboard, and nothing was stopping him. Until this mistake cost him a podium finish. The organisers introduced a penalty system that applied extra time to competitors who struck the man-made chicanes. What would have been second place for Ballard relegated him to 4th. A few problems at the chicane at the end of the...
did you see that?
Oh, we were there, yeah.
Oh, I tried to go into the chicane while I was going too quick, but I lost loads of time anyway, so...
And the penalties wouldn't have helped?
Well... Please don't penalise me. Oh, I don't know, if I get penalised, I think I'll be down to about 4th and 5th, I think.
This incident with Ballard became the main talking point of the event, a subject on which everyone had an opinion.
What do you make of this penalty system they've got?
It's good if everybody gets penalised.
Do you think there's too much room for error?
I don't know. I don't think so, no. I mean, I've drove probably a bit more cautious today because of that, because I've been penalised here before for a minute for taking a wrong route, which didn't really help me. But I've seen people hit cones today, and it'll be interesting to see whether they get penalised.
Stage 3, and Millward was now in trouble. He finished the test on a rim after puncturing, but at the end of the morning leg, further problems meant that his day at Jurby had drawn to a close.
Yeah, we lost some time in the morning. We had, well, the first couple of stages we had a puncture and had to drive a lap on just on the rim. But we've fixed that problem, that's okay. More seriously now, the turbo's blown, so that's us out.
There was further drama. Rob Watson's service crew were seriously concerned that a fuel miscalculation could mean the Nova kit car was to starve at any moment. Thankfully for Watson, a hold-up on the stage meant there was time for word to get through, and caution was applied. Despite the potential calamity, it was a cool Watson that booked in for service.
Good run, Rob?
Yeah, not too bad. Just running low on fuel at the moment, so we had a lot of fuel surge around that one. But apart from that, it's nice.
As ever with the first event of a new year, problems weren't just confined to the leaders. There were plenty of hard luck stories by the end of the morning. Early retirement for twins Andy and Malcolm Kirk, who, having just repaired the Suzuki from a previous event, were to go right back to square one after rolling the Swift again, this time at Jurby's runway intersection. Another favourite for a top 3 finish was also in trouble. Dave Hughes was limping round in what appeared to be a lack of low gears. Navigator Roy Sweetman explains.
Well, we started stage 4, pulled away from the start, fine, and as we came back, probably quarter of a mile from the start, nothing at all, no gears. Eventually crunched into 8th gear, which turned out to be 5th of all things, so we did the first loop, did the second loop in 5th. We did stage 5, which is the small Brittany one, in 5th gear, and we actually did stage 6 in 5th gear.
Various newcomers were determined to make their mark at Jurby, and after 5 years out of the sport, John Hodgson was screaming up the leaderboard and lying second by half-time. It was a happy John at the lunchtime service halt.
I really am very pleased, yes, I can't believe it, yes. Pleased with the car's doing it for me, like, yes.
So fingers crossed for this afternoon. Any team tactics?
No, we're going to stay as we are. We're learning loads. We were a bit tatty in the morning, over exuberant, and we hit a few bollards, hit one square on right over the top of the car, but we tidied it up and got faster times.
Another battle was also developing. It was father versus son, with Graham and George Collister battling it out for honours. By lunchtime, George was ahead of Graham by 29 seconds. Will the lead be extended in the afternoon, or maybe the gap closed? There was action at the bomb store, or rather lack of it. Phil Swales appeared to be stopping for a chat and was pushed clear. This not only woke up the marshals, but also following driver Mike Naylor, who had to go round this extra chicane. Out for a top 10 finish were twins Kevin and Peter Bettridge, who were hoping that they weren't going to be plagued with the problems that their brother Pat had earlier. It was a fairly smooth rally for them, finishing 8th overall and 1st in Class C. Meanwhile, back at the bomb store, no joy for Swales, as the clock keeps ticking and a finish in this event was drifting further away. Battling their way up the leaderboard were brothers Cliff and Robert Cowan, whose only real plans for the championship was to go out and have fun. By lunchtime, they were lying 4th overall and leading the class. With silverware in sight, a tidy drive could see the Cowan brothers move into the top 3. So, at the halfway halt, the positions were as follows. Lying second overall at lunchtime, the afternoon spelt tragedy for John and Tom Hodgson, who retired on the 10th stage.
John, a bit of disappointment after such a good run this morning.
Oh yes, it is. Halfway through stage 10, first thing was the alternator light came on. So I just decided that the alternator had packed in. Started thinking about it and I said to the co-driver, what's the water temperature doing? He said, oh, it's sky high. So I knew then the belt had fallen off. So we had to pull into one side, you know, so...
You decided to call it a day then?
Well, yes, I had to, because I don't get a second chance with that engine. It's the head gasket would go no time at all with that kind of temperature.
With the rather controversial penalty system, nobody could predict the final results. Thankfully for Rob Watson, it looked like a tidy drive meant a place on the top of the podium.
So it's in the can, Rob?
It looks that way, yeah. It's been a nice clean run, no real problems. That last stage just then, you see from the front tyre there, the front tyre's just shredded itself and it's flagging, so it's right near the end, so that's probably quite lucky. Luck must have been on our side today.
Problems with the fuel this morning? You didn't miscalculate this afternoon?
No problems with the fuel surge this afternoon. Just everything nice, working nice, yeah.
Brian Ballard's earlier dice with the cones meant that he said goodbye to any silverware, ironically thanks to our film. But despite this, he was delighted at what he had achieved at Jurby.
Excellent day, better than expected. A bit different than the Mark II Escort, I can say that for a fact. Still managed to get it sideways though.
Any major problems?
A few little spins and stuff like that, but generally, you know, I had a few problems with the turbo and alternator wasn't charging the battery properly, but I don't think it slowed me down really. It was going as fast as I could, really.
At the end of the day, Sean Fox took a surprising second overall. Impressive considering his earlier problems. It's a result that hopefully now sets him up for a real championship challenge.
Easter's next, hopefully we'll have it properly going for then, and I'd like to win Easter really.
Change of setup though, is it?
Yeah, I'll try and get this management system working and get a few more horsepower out of it.
When are you going to start work on that?
I'm going away next week for a holiday, so it'll be after that. Unless Vori wants to do it.
He refused to speak to us.
Yeah, well, she does enough speaking in the car.
What about some of the major events like the National and the Trophy?
National finished 10th overall last year. This year, try and improve. Don't know whether we can, but we'll try very hard. Trophy rally, it'll probably be the International we'll do, trying to homologate the car back to a GSI, and we can do the International in this then. So, go for it.
As the sun sets on another Jurby rally, the controversy surrounding the cone penalties will all be forgotten as the championship now moves to the forests of the Isle of Man for the Easter stages. See you in April.